Hi everyone, welcome to my channel. I didn't make videos for the last few days because after long hours of work, man, I just don't have time uh, to spend it on YouTube. But I decided that I will probably continue to make these videos on my day offs. So yesterday I had day off. Today is my day off. So today I will make a video and talk about you know some stuff about life in Russia, about some news that are making headlines. As you probably understand by now, I do use this channel as a tool to improve my English first of all, and secondly, I do use this channel as some kind of window to the world, so I can kind of imitate conversation with uh, the world, bigger world. So what is new, man? What is new? As I said in previous video, like few days ago, I did start applying on vacancies in Russian media outlets because I do like, at least I think that at least I had to try to return to my profession. As you know, I'm a journalist by education and uh, experience, by working experience, because I spend most of my adult life in journalism. So, but to because I had to distance myself from journalism after 2009, and I did so because of some problems that I and my family encountered in Georgia when there was uh, when in Georgia were ruling criminal regime of Saakashvili, and after we had to flee Georgia, I was uh, uh, I was kind of not in a not in a good place. Let's say that way. Uh, Not in a good place psychologically. I was too upset that we had an encounter that many problems, because of my journalistic work. So little by little, I did distance myself from journalism, and even though I was writing for last like 10 to 12 years, I was periodically do write some stuff for different media outlets or analytical sense. Basically, um, um, my friends or friends of my friends, are sometimes asking to write some stuff for them, and they were sharing their honorars with me. Uh, and that was some kind of income too, but in general, I did distance myself from journalism. And now it's I mean, it's kind of hard for me to go back to my profession because of this pause that I had, and because I did not work in journalism actively for so many years. Uh, I may I definitely have some doubts that about my abilities to do the job in a proper ways, because I mean, you know but anyhow, I will did not know answer on this question before I did not try, you know so I did apply for journalism for vacancies in Russian media outlets. I sent around more than 20, let's say, uh, CVs. I sent CVs on more than 20 vacancies, and for now, not one from media outlets asked me to come to them for interview. So it seems like uh, this attempt to go back to profession will fail, but at least I did try. What can I say? That's kind of new stuff that are happening in my personal life. So yeah, it is what it is, man. Now, I will wait for a week, let's say. You know, I will send for this for next week. I will probably send CVs to. Uh, I will continue to send CV or apply for a job for every vacancy in journalism that I will see. That every vacancy that are uh, close to my experience. I mean, if I feel that I can do this kind of job, then I will apply. There are many vacancies that are technical jobs, like do some montage or of video or audio and that kind of stuff. But I don't have knowledge to doing that. I'm as I said, I'm a journalist. I was writing. I'm a writer journalist. So if I see any more vacancies, I will definitely apply. But mm, it seems like no one in Russian media outlets will invite me for interview. Let's wait and see. As I said, at least I try, and you know. So meanwhile, to kind of because I still have interest in to know what is going on in the world, and I'm almost automatically every day, every morning, I'm checking whenever I'm next to uh, PC or phone. I mean, I'm always checking news, and I will use this channel, this YouTube channel, and the channel on the Rumble to talk about interesting developments and share my opinion. So that's kind of compensation for being out of profession. You know. I hope I did explain you know, myself properly in proper English. Yesterday I had someone commented on my one of my videos that like my English is kind of good, not that bad, and probably it was much better when I had when I was actively interacting with Americans. Uh, and I did write back to this person that I don't really interact with Americans that often. I learned English in school, partly at school and partly, mainly in England when I was living in England, in United Kingdom. So uh, it's possible that my accent is sounds like American English, and that's why this person was thinking that I had some encounter with Americans. That's the influence of American accent. I don't really know. I mean, I should have a British accent, but it's hard for me to say it. So if you can describe my accent, I'll be thankful. You know, yeah. So yeah, man. Today is 3rd of August. Today is the 3rd of August. Now it's 10:15 in the morning. As I said, it's my day off, so I have some time to make this video and share with you my opinion about some ongoing political or geopolitical stuff. And there is some subjects to talk about. So let's do it, man. As always, I did open some media outlets. So let's start, man, and check up what kind of news are making headlines in Russia. Of course, you know that for the last few days, I mean, main news in the world was this crazy provocation from USA against China, uh, and a visit of Nancy Pelosi in Taiwan. And as I said, as I said in previous videos, for me it seems like ruling Western elites do have some plan, and they are working by this plan, and they're making step by step uh, to implement the geopolitical goals, and nothing is happening accidentally. And same goes to this visit of Nancy Pelosi to Taiwan, because from if you take just this single episode, you may think that, I mean, uh, Washington is provoking Beijing for no reason. I mean, out of thin air. But in reality, in my reading of big geopolitical picture, Washington is doing exactly the stuff that I was expecting them to do, and I will explain what I mean by this. Here, I mean, head of Russian foreign ministry Lavrov is saying that he is critical of Pelosi's visit in Taiwan, and he's saying that these kind of actions do from USA do demonstrate to the world that US is acting like bully, uh, and because they are feeling that they are, untouchable, kind of. But you know, and for this moment, I mean, they do are untouchable. I mean, no one really wants to mess around the USA. Uh, but there is a few countries in this world that can uh, put USA to its place, and one of them definitely are China, and second one is Russia, no doubt about that. Um, Russia more so because of you know history of Russia and strength, military strength, and when I say military strength, of course I mean nuclear arsenal. Um, Russia probably only country for this moment in the world that can wipe out USA from the earth, you know, to destroy every military base in USA, every big city in USA, just to destroy USA for 110%. So no one should mess around Russia too, to be honest, because if it comes to nuclear weapons, then you know Russia has no match in this world. And let's go back to this story, about visit of visit of about visit of Nancy Pelosi to China. As you see here, I'll on the map. Let's do this way. So as you can see here, Taiwan is there, and what USA is trying to do, or let's say Western elites, ruling Western elites, is to push China, distance China from other Indo-Pacific states, and push China closer to Russia. So they are doing here exactly the same that they did it with Russia and Europe, using Georgia in 2008 and Ukraine since 2014. Here in part of Europe and Russia, ruling Western elites did succeed in their operation. They distanced Russia from European states, particularly West European states like Germany, France, and Italy. And I do think that they will distance China from Indo-Pacific states too. They will succeed in that, in doing that. And why it's important? Why I see this picture like that? Point is that, of course, ruling Western elites understand that economical power is shifting from Western world to East, to the Indo-Pacific region. and China is a main engine for Indo-Pacific economical growth. No one is arguing about that. So, in my understanding, Western elites are had a Western elites developed plan to stop this movement of to stop this power shifting from west to east, and to do so, they will firstly they will distance. To succeed in this, they should firstly distance Russia from Europe, secondly distance China and push Russia closer to China. Secondly, in second phase, distance China from Indo-Pacific region and push China closer to Russia. And we do see that that's exactly what is happening. Uh, and why they are doing this? I mean, Western elites. I mean, we can see this on the map. That way is easier to explain. For now, China receiving its energy, oil and gas, from two main directions. One is Middle East, here from Persian Gulf states generally, and second route is Russia. We're talking about main uh, routes. So, because Western elites push Russia closer to China, and they are doing same to China now to push China closer to Russia. Of course, Chinese dependence on Russian energy supplies will rise, and it did rise dramatically for last, let's say, 5 to 10 years. And this plan of Western elites, as I said, this plan is active for at least last 15 years, man. At least. And God knows how many years ago was this plan developed as a strategic goal. You know, I just my I will just say that my commentary, my reading of big geopolitical picture based on history of Western politics and geopolitical stuff for last let's say 15 years. You know, when you analyze what was happening in the last 15 years, I mean, I do see this picture that I'm talking about now. So let's see, man. Here we have these two countries that are more and more dependent on each other, particularly China, because I mean, without energy, China's economy gonna collapse. You know, of course, any country's economy gonna collapse. So what Western elites gonna do to stop China's rise? They will try they will do anything to Chinese economy to collapse. And how they gonna do it? They gonna they gonna disrupt energy supply routes to China. So, as I said, for now there is two main routes: one from Middle East, from Persian Gulf, and second from Russia. So, look at this, man. Look at this. To receive energy from Middle East, you can just look at the map, man. How long, how big a distance it is to supply China, man. You know, how big a distance is, man. Here, Uh, we have Pakistan. Pakistan has close relations with China, but recent developments in Pakistan did show that USA, Western secret services are working actively to demolish or to distract Chinese and Pakistani relations. And if they succeed, and they are, very active in that area, China will had no other opportunity other than to receive this energy. I mean, shipments of gas and oil from Middle East by this long route, man. Look at this, man. It has to go through all these areas, man, to its destination in China. There's many points where this shipping route can be blocked. Uh, if West did succeed and cut off China from Indo-Pacific region by provoking conflicts, not necessarily military conflicts, but political conflicts between between China and those countries here, and they are trying to do so, and and second point is that, I mean, when we're talking about Middle East, we should always remember that this region is has some issues with stability, even as it is, And for U.S. or Western elites, it's quite easy to provoke regional conflict here. Let's say between Iran and Saudi Arabia, or Iran and Israel, which will make shipments through this waterway. I mean, through Persian Gulf, and just impossible. And in that way, China will lose one of the main energy supply routes, man. Even if Beijing will be successful to maintain good or working relations with the Indo-Pacific states, So in this area, Western elites are attacking two directions. First is Middle East, second is Indo-Pacific. And destruction of any of these areas will will uh, will cut off China from Middle Eastern energy, and I'm quite sure that will happen. Uh, it's only a matter of time when Western elites will provoke war in Middle East. In my reading, of this picture. So then, and if visit of Nancy Pelosi, we should take as a part of this bigger plan, because I mean, it's hard to believe that this old corrupt woman just wake up one day and did make decision to go to Taiwan. That kind of stuff not happening this way, man. Everything that Washington and London does is a part of the plan, even if you don't see logic behind it right now. And if you take my reading of the bigger picture, probably you can see logic behind almost everything that is going on in this area, man, in the Pacific or Middle East, And the visit of Nancy Pelosi in Taiwan is part of this plan. Distraction, just to make sure that they will put China under pressure. They will put these countries of Indo-Pacific under pressure because they have some kind of relations with Taiwan too, and probably West will provoke China, try to provoke China to do some military operation uh, to reunited with Taiwan, and this will of course. Uh, this will be a big enough reason, let's say, for declining of relationships between China and another other Indo-Pacific states. You know, like Ukraine, Georgia in 2008, and then Ukraine since 2014 become reasons to distance Russia from European states. So you see logic that I am talking about, or So once the West will succeed to in this region to cut off China from Middle East, China will have only one route of energy supply, only one main route. Of course, China is receiving energy from different countries, from Africa, from Latin America, from even in the Pacific. But main routes are Middle East and Russia. So once they cut China from Middle Eastern energy sources, they will have only Russia as a backup, you know. And then at that time, in my understanding, Western elites will activate their assets in Russia, and they do have assets in Russia. And I afraid that Western assets in Russia are not just in different regions, uh, but in Moscow itself, in federal, not just in local governments, but I do afraid that Western elites do have assets in federal government of Russia, you know. Uh, so they will activate these assets and try to do some regime change in Russia. Only after China will be cut off from Middle Eastern energy, you know. And why they're gonna do it? It's simple, man. They will try to do regime change in Russia using the assets, and they do have assets, man. All these oligarchs, man, they are not loyal to Russia, man. They are loyal to West. I'm quite sure about that, you know. There is many chinovniks, how you say chinovnik, man. There are many so-called just a second, man. I will translate this verb to explain my reading of bigger picture more accurately. Officials, yeah, I mean, so West has assets not just in so-called economical or financial elites of Russia. They have, in my understanding, they have assets in governmental institutions. I mean, there are some officials that acting very very weirdly for many years, and no one really understands why they are still in position of power. But because they are still in position of power, that gives you sense of how big is influence of Western elites on Russian elites, man, political or financial. you know. And one may say, yeah, I mean, Putin is seeing on all this stuff, and he will clear uh, Russian government, or Russian governmental institutions and secret services, and some other institutions from these Western assets. But it's if he could do that, he will do that already. But he is acting based on information that he is receiving, and who knows what kind of information and from whom he is receiving. You know, a little example, man. There is such a person as Chubais in Russia, infamous because of, I mean, if you ask Russians, I mean, 90 people from 100 will say that. From every 100 will say that Chubais was uh, one of persons that were behind so-called privatization of 90s, when Russian companies, when Soviet uh, giants, economical giants, big companies, end up in hands of some, very few people, almost for a penny, you know. That's how this oligarchic class was created, and behind of this stuff was Chubais, and he had the support of CIA, of West, of USA. Everyone said that he is a CIA asset, man. And this animal were government official until start of the special military operation of Russia. Then he fled from Russia. So, it's logical for me to think that because this animal was close to government or even government official for so many years, I mean, he must have some, uh, you know, there should be many more people in government that were securing his position by different means. And that's how he was able to maintain his position until like last few months, man, until February of 24. Then he fled Russia, you know. So, and this is just one example, man. There are many, many other people in Russian elites that are in normal circumstances they should be in jail, man. But in Russia they are in position of power. So that is for me proof that Western elites do have huge influence on Russian elites, and they have massive assets in Russia. So they will probably, I do afraid that they will succeed in doing regime change when it suits them, and that will happen after China will cut off from energy sources of Persian Gulf, Middle East, and after they do that, if they succeed of doing regime change in Russia, they will turn Russia towards Europe and against China, and that way Western elites will push China to a corner. They will push China to a corner and force Beijing to act militarily for securing energy sources, man. Because, as I said, without energy, no economy in this world will gonna survive. And economical collapse means collapse of social fabric, collapse of society, and that means end of the state. You know. So, if West will succeed of cutting China from Middle Eastern energy sources, uh, and if West did succeed to distract Chinese relationships with the Indo-Pacific states, and they are actively working on that. And if after this happens, if Western elites succeed on doing regime change in Russia and turning Russia against China, and all they have to do, I mean, if they succeed uh, to do regime change in Russia, all they have to do is to, uh, uh, you know, cut supplies of energy to China, and that's it. China will be forced to act militarily to secure its energy sources. And in that situation, where is the closest energy sources will be for China? Russia, man. Russia. Yeah, there's some energy. I mean, Kazakhstan, you can see here, former Soviet Republic, does have some oil. Here is Turkmenistan, country rich with natural gas. But if we're talking about some really big volumes, then of course it's Russia. And that's the plan of Western elites, man. I just told you what is happening and what is gonna happen, man. If they succeed to cut China from Middle East and certain energy sources, and if they succeed to do some regime change in Russia, and to move Russia, to distance Russia from China, then Beijing will be in a corner, and Beijing will act dramatically on that in that scenario, and that's how, in my understanding, Western elites will try to provoke war between China and Russia. That's the main goal, man. To provoke war between China and Russia, because they understand this kind of war will go nuclear, man. Definitely. And if China and Russia start war, then of course Western elites will provoke India to go against China too. If that's happened, Pakistan will be provoked by the same Western elites to attack India. And in this scenario, man, you have four nuclear armed countries that are fighting, man. This is a world war, man, because no country here, no country in Eurasia will be able to stay away from this conflict. Man. And after this will happen, NATO, I mean USA and the NATO member states in Europe, they will wait for some time probably, to make sure that these countries will decimate each other. And after that, they will attack, probably China first. Because their main goal is to stop China, to distract China. They will attack, they will finish it off, let's say that way. And if this scenario will be, will become a reality, then, in the world you will have only one in the world after is nuclear apocalypse, nuclear Armageddon, there will be only one center of power. That will be West, USA mainly, but partly Europe, Europe too. You know, because they are NATO member states and they are puppets of Anglo-Saxon elites anyway. So so that's I hope you see. I hope I did explain my reading of this big picture. And if you see my logic behind all of this, man, then probably you will explain almost everything that is happening in the world right now, including this visit of Nancy Pelosi in Taiwan, man. Because as I said, everything that is happening is a part of the plan. Everything big enough that is happening is a part of the plan. So yeah, man, that's what Western ruling elites want, man. They want to provoke war in, like, let's say 10, 15 years time, maybe even closer. They want to provoke war between China and Russia. Then India and China, Pakistan and India, to provoke third world war. And after these countries will decimate each other, the USA and the not allies of this evil empire will finish them all off, and there will be no more opponents to the in the world to the Western elites. They will have no opponents, even though world will be in ruins. Because can you imagine if this scenario is realized? That means that there will be this region will be hurt firstly kinetically by military operations, yeah. But because of destruction of the world economy, and because of probably you hear about nuclear winter. Then nuclear winter means that there is for a few years there will be drop in average temperature for a few degrees, and that's enough to for a collapse of agriculture. There will be no food, man, for next few years because of drop of temperature. Even few degrees is huge, man, in that sense. And everything will collapse, man. Supply chains will collapse. Social fabric will collapse in almost every state in the world, including Western states, man. These Western elites will maintain in good shape their military and police force. They will take care of them, but they don't give a damn about ordinary people, man, because if they are who they are, man, they are animals, so they did not care about human beings, and they're not gonna change now or ever. So we will have absolutely different reality if this scenario is realized, man. And after this thermonuclear Armageddon, Western elites will be only a force in this planet, because they will maintain, as I said, countries. Societies will be destroyed in US or in North America, in Europe, because of collapse of world economy, total collapse of world economy. But They had enough resources, I mean, Western elites, to maintain police force and military for their safety, because they will use these forces to save themselves as their bodyguards, and they will cut down any opposition, you know, that they will encounter, and they will become, they will become sole rulers of the world. So-called one world government will be based on these sick motherfuckers, man, that Western ruling elites are. Yeah. So it is what it is, man. This video is almost, almost an hour now. So I should, stop recording now. And you know what I'm thinking? I may start a new series of new project. Let's say I will call it Road to World War III, and I will make episodes under this name, and I will explain. I will try to explain all huge or big political, geopolitical developments through this lens of West, through this through lens of this Western plan that I see or I read based on their actions for the last few decades, man. Because if you take my logic, you can easily explain almost everything. You know? Otherwise, you're gonna end up with so-called experts that are kind of making fool of themselves, that, where they are talking that this visit makes no sense, this makes no sense, this makes no sense. Everything does make sense, man, if you had the right reading of the bigger political picture, because this kind of stuff is not happening for no reason, man. You know. Anyway, man. Anyway, probably this is it for now. I may do some another video today to go through news that are making headlines in Russia for this moment. But this video, this video is too long, so I will leave this, as it is. I hope I did explain uh, my position in good enough English, so a potential listener or viewer will understand what am I talking about. Anyhow, thank you for your time. Bye for now and take care.